Okay, all right. Spring has sprung. We are out here. The trees are doing a magnificent display of green. They're out here. They are out here. Beautiful, beautiful morning. I think there'll be no more 40-degree days, I don't think so. Not for a while, anyway. So yeah, welcome back. Navigators, welcome back. This is episode 42. We are rolling. And the subscriber count is steadily increasing. I think by the time we hit 50 episodes, we will definitely have 150 subscribers. This is big for us. Like I say, we are small but mighty. Yeah, I want to thank everybody for your support, man. It's been really cool talking to people offline. Even though some of you guys don't make your presence known, don't participate, but it doesn't matter. I really appreciate it. Very encouraging. Sometimes when I feel like, what am I doing? I'll get a call and then somebody will really, big up the podcast, big me up, and encourage me to keep going. So yeah, that is great. Yeah. So things are happening, man. Things are really happening, making progress with my creative works and feeling better. Did a little hanging out this week. It was pretty cool. Really pretty cool. So yeah, we're gonna plunge right in. We're gonna get right in right after this. Yeah, so earlier this week, I was in the midst of a group of people, all different types of people. And we're sitting around talking, all kinds of stuff. People got their opinions and, interesting conversations. Nothing crazy. Liberals. Cool. I got no problem with that. But it got me to thinking. Now, these things I say and these things I have a rebuttal to, they're pretty consistent, right? And I started to think, is this who I am, really? Is this who I am? I was a thing, an answering machine, thing on my answering machine when we had answering machines. I put on there, hello, is it you? I mean, for real. I mean, what is the real you? These are things that I've been thinking about for a while. Who are you? So yeah, occupation or something that they do or have done, or maybe a habit that they have. I'm I'm a bicyclist or whatever. That's who I am. The thing is, it's not wrong. It's just incomplete. Yeah, these are labels that we wear, but is this really who we are, Or is that who we've been, And how do you discern that? How do you take that apart? So that's what we're gonna do. What makes us up, or what we think of mostly, is our memories, our relationships, and our experiences. And we refer to these things and say, well, this is me. This is what I've done. This is who I'm connected to. And this is what I remember. But is that you? Is that you? Or is that what you were or what you have been? And do these things change? It seems like crazy questions, I guess, but you think about it. These labels, these things, are the raw materials of identity. But if you really think about it, they're not the identity. They're just evidence of an identity. This is just something that we carry. Do we adhere to these labels, to these things out of habit or out of comfort or out of fear? Are we afraid to change some of these things? Can we change some of these things? This is what I was thinking about. It's like, are we these things, or are we just observing these things? I always have these conversations with my friends sometimes, and I talk about being the observer, right? Who do you identify with? Do you identify with the person that's doing the thing, or do you identify with the entity or the thing that's looking at the person that's doing the thing? And I always say, when you talk to yourself in your head, who are you talking to? Who are you talking to? I always envision the observer sitting in the back of your mind or in the back of your experiences and just observing, without criticism. And if you feel yourself locked into something, if you could change something, one small thing, could you do it? Would you do it? Or most people aren't really completely satisfied with themselves or with their lives, but they don't change, or they don't change intentionally. They don't change intentionally. But whether we want to change or not, that we change, because you're not the same person you was when you were 20 or 30 or 40, 50, 65, 73. Those people, that person is gone, and we adapt. We just fold right into it, But through all of that, there's something in your brain, in your mind, in your awareness that's checking all of this out. So who are you? We're stuck in these labels and categories, and sometimes it gives us, like, say, well, who are you? What do you do? That's how people answer when they say, hi, my name is Ken and I'm a bus driver. That's something you do. Or they say, yeah, I'm a grandfather. That's something that basically happened to you over time. But is that really you? And if you could change one thing, would you? I never thought I was my career. I never thought that I was a bus driver. I know I worked as a bus driver, but I never saw myself as a bus driver. That doesn't leave me off the hook, because I saw myself as a musician and an artist. But that's the same thing. I just chose another label, just chose another label. And was I the musician? I did music, yeah. But there was more to it than that. I was more than that. I was many more things than that, Yeah, this thing gets tricky. It's complicated sometimes, maybe. And through it all, I mean, maybe it was something simpler. Maybe I was a witness, Maybe I was just the person who kept showing up as a musician or as a bus driver. But I'm the person that shows up, I'm not the bus driver. I know it's crazy. It's crazy. Can we change? I mean, if you wanted to change, if you find yourself like what some people say, this is a funny thing people say. They say, "Well, this is just the way I am. It's just the way I am." That locks off any possibility of change. Like they're not even thinking about change. This is just me. This is just who I am. And a lot of time, you get locked in by fear. You know, what would happen if I change? How would people see me if I change? You know, I'm not gonna change. This is just the way I am. But in reality, we're changing all the time. You know, our bodies are changing, our perspectives are changing. We're changing all the time. You know, so who are you really? You know, who are you really? Yeah, you can change, but change requires awareness, choice, action, and time. You know, and the person that we are doesn't really disappear. It just fades or morphs into the person we become. You know. And that's how this thing goes, you know. Everything must change, you know, Quincy Jones. Everything must change. The thing is, can you be the architect of that change, or do you even want to change? You know. But the answer is yes, we can change. You know. As an experiment, when I get up in the morning, I think about one small thing that I like to change. Maybe I don't want to procrastinate as much. I want to be the person that when I get a task, I do it right away, right? Still working on that one. Or you're just showing up more, you know, being present more. You know, I want to be the person that shows up. There's a lot of things, man. But it takes time, and you got to be, you know, intentional and patient. So that's where I'm coming from today. Who are you, man? Who are you really? You know what I'm saying? Who are you? You're not a resume. You're not your regrets. You're not the roles that you played or the people who know you. Maybe you're the one who asked the questions, you know? Maybe you're the one, as I referred to earlier, maybe you're the observer of all of this, you know? I'd like people to leave leave a comment, you know, not a whole resume, it's like, who am I? But, you know, don't give me your roles, just answer who you are really. One sentence, just who are you really, you know? Not who you've been, who you are right now. How could you say that? How could you describe that? You know? So that's the assignment. Who are you really, you know? And how could you describe that? So navigators, you know the deal, you know the game plan. It's not what you think. It's what you think about. Later.
We were young once, with plans of world domination. But our eyes are different now, befuddled by the trick of a carrot and a stick, spun by a wink and a nod. Yes, I remember. We were all